Hey everybody, Andy from Tecnifibre bringing you my review of the Tecnifibre T-Fight 305 ISOFLEX. Excited about this one, got some history with the line. I used the XTC for a while. Mine was pretty much on spec, 304 grams unstrung, so 307 swing weight, add about 30 for strings, a little bit more in this case, that came to 339. The carryover, the consistent things in this line is the 18 by 19 string pattern. We've got same 98 square inch head, same beam pretty much. And my history is that I actually adopted the XTC as my racket. That's two previous versions ago with this line of racket, because the 18 by 19 string pattern was a brilliant transition for me coming away from 1820s. Also it was giving me good stability, plow through and control, which I was sort of after in a racket, and I felt like I had a generous sweet spot which was helping my backhand. But also I was feeling that the plow combined with just enough pace and whip on my forehand to be effective, so it was a good racket. There's some elements of design that I love about Tecnifibre rackets in this line. You have the easy knot-off grommets which protect the grommets. You have the armour cap that carries over. You still don't have a butt cap that you can play around with and take off, unfortunately. This one is very white. I kept on thinking about Gandalf, but enough of that. We have some new technologies that are quite interesting. So the ISOFLEX, as far as I can tell, has different stiffness depending on the length of the string. Then we have the RS that continues. Now the RS section is a combination of a box and a sort of elliptical beam, which combines control and power elements, giving you consistency across the string bed, according to Tecnifibre. Now I think that actually all of this technology works quite well, and some of that's been consistent across the last two lines as well. The feel is always quite nice across previous lines. The Dynacore that they have combined with their graphite I think works really well. If you take this version back years to the 2013 version, which is the version that I think a lot of people believe Medvedev is actually using, it's got a 95 square inch head that has a lovely soft feel to it. Now my criticism sadly of the RS was, whilst the RS was an interesting technology, they'd firmed that one up and taken it away from the feel of the XTC, which was actually really nice. And it was a personal thing, I suppose, but I just felt that I'd lost the kind of connection and feel that I think control-orientated rackets should have. I'm really delighted to report that in this ISOFLEX that has returned. We're down to a 64 RA again, and I think that that ISOFLEX is actually really interesting because I was getting a great connection and feel from the racket again. I felt like I was playing with a control-orientated racket, but then I was just getting the same words popping up to my head: accuracy, consistency and versatility. That is what this racket is all about. But it has a couple of caveats. It is for definitely the advanced player, and it does come with that big swing weight. So the swing weight carries over from previous versions. As you saw, I measured mine at 339, and that is quite a lot to swing. So in controlled circumstances of my test with the slinger, I was deliberately trying to test with my normal drills, fanning across, hitting forehands, hitting backhands, but I'd also, as you saw in those previous clips, had tried to set up some sort of short balls to assess how I could hit angles and assess the whippiness of the racket, particularly on my forehand side. And I was really pleased. Actually I get ample whip, and I think to some extent I'm an improving player again after a 20-year break. I've been playing now for 6 years and I'm getting better and better. A 339 swing weight I can handle a little bit better. I was getting it up and above my head well. I was definitely losing some power, so I'd gone over the sort of dip in the mountain whereby I was just starting to lose some racket head speed with this 339 swing weight. But what I would say, going back to those three words, versatility, consistency and accuracy, that's what I was getting on serve. It literally is point and shoot, this racket, as long as you can maneuver the weight, and it's point and shoot with pretty much all of your shots. Whichever shot you're hitting, if you've got the right mechanics and the right technique, this racket will deliver what you ask it to deliver. So taking the racket out to non-controlled environments, because of course there is a difference. Again, performance was great. I think there are the carryovers from the previous line where for me you get quite a generous sweet spot for a 98. So from a personal point of view, that works really well on my backhand. You also though get enough whip still on my forehand for it to be effective, and I think people will find the same. The 18 by 19 string pattern, I would say largely is a controlled pattern. You can get enough spin, but where this racket is great is in picking up balls, hitting with easy depth. If you've got a relatively flat stroke, but ultimately you have good technique, then you get great plow through here, and you get loads of easy depth. I was finding this racket in some gameplay situations to just be immense on return of serve, and also to grind out long baseline rallies, finding real consistent depth. But I think the thing that does carry over with this racket, if you can handle the 339 swing weight, is that you also can hit angles and you can be creative. It ultimately is very versatile. If you need to play defensive, get the ball up with a lot of spin, deep, and buy yourself some time, it can deliver that. Above the head and at volleys, it's fast enough through the air, just about, but bear in mind, I think you have to be physically advanced as well as technically advanced in your game to handle the weight. This is just not a racket for intermediates or beginners, in my opinion. What I'm most pleased about this racket is that the RS section, which I did think worked in the previous, does deliver, I think, some of that power and control and spin with a whippy feel for its weight. And where I struggled a little with the XTC, which didn't really have the RS section, was just on picking up sort of low slice balls because of that swing weight. Now I think a combination of I'm a little bit better again now, combined with also the RS section improving manoeuvrability a little bit here, that's not a problem. And I got my friend Charlie to do some drills with me around picking up particularly low slice balls, and it was absolutely fine. Where this is massively improved for me compared to the RS is in that feel element. So with that previous RS, I felt it had just gone a bit too far down the crisp response route, and I personally I didn't like that. The XTC had great feel whilst giving a lot of the 18 by 19 lovely characteristics in terms of string pattern, with also loads of plow and also that generous sweet spot on the backhand. So you've got all of this in the ISOFLEX, possibly with an even more, I suppose, guaranteed and accurate response, consistent response from the string bed, possibly down to that ISOFLEX technology. But now I have feel again in this range, and I really felt connected to the shots. So in summary then, playing some match play, I suppose my concern, or point play I should say, my concern was, would I be struggling a little with the swing weight, and how would I fare in terms of longer rallies? Would I start to tire? Jury is probably out a little bit. I'm going to try and have a practice short set against one of my friends who's an excellent player, much better than me, always beats me, and I think that's a great way of measuring how well you perform with a racket. I'm going to have short sets with him, both playing with this, and I'll compare that to how I get on with the TF40, but also the Prince 310. And it'll be interesting to see how I get on. I mean, my thoughts so far after hitting with this for 2 weeks is that actually I am just as effective with this, and it is certainly something that I would happily take into a tournament. I think I just need to sort of test that a little bit more. But that's all about my game. I mean, in terms of anybody watching this thinking about the racket, if you are in good physical health, view yourself as being, sort of advanced from a fitness perspective, as well as being advanced in your technique, this is absolutely something you've got to demo. For me, this is very much, the epitome of a modern control racket. It's a control-orientated racket, super accurate. You also have some nice feel, reminiscent of old day rackets. That's all carrying through to what is ultimately a racket that brings you brilliant stability an amazing plow through. I think this is you know, really an excellent racket. Hope that was of help and of some use. What do you think about the colour? I wonder how that Gandalf feeling is going to land with you all, but drop me a note in the comments on what you think about that. I'm kind of quite intrigued by lots of players reporting that very bright rackets does actually put them off. We've had Federer with his tuxedo racket, and of course Djokovic wanting that that white taken out of the speed line, and I wonder whether any of you have had the same. This doesn't bother me, but particularly with my strings of choice at the moment, Razor Code, which I've been stringing at £52, it is very white, and be interested to know what you think about the cosmetic. Thanks for watching, see you soon.